canto da alma, no canto do coração. O cantinho benfiquista é mais que uma paixão. Vermelho nas veias, a luz no olhar. Aqui vive o sonho, onde o bem vem brilhar. Seja bem-vindo quem vier por bem. O bem move montanhas, é força que vem. O cantinho benfiquista é onde o sonho se conquista. O bem e o Benfica, unidos na voz. Aqui somos muitos, mas sentimos como um só. Do bairro ao estádio, o hino ecoar. Cada grito é vida, é amor a vibrar. No sonho benfiquista, desejos a cumprir. A luz é casa, é onde queremos ir.
Good evening, good evening. Welcome to episode 219. Missed one. 219 of Cantinho Benfiquista podcast, Decisive December, off the back of a second Champions League victory in a row, something we haven't been able to say all season until now. As always, I am your host. I am joined. We got a light crew today. We've got Oscar. We've got Kenny. I'll go left to right. Kenny, how are you?
Boys,
Always open
it's
one
a
up. I like it.
Victory Wednesday. Cheers, salud. No
like
free
it.
ads.
I like it.
He's back on the roller
Absolutely.
coaster. He's back on the
Yeah, what a day.
That was one
What
of
a
my
day.
that's one of my talking points I have noted here is for those of you who aren't in our group chat, Kenny is a roller coaster of emotions. 1 minute, one corner kick, he's off the roller coaster. Next corner kick, he's trying to jump back on the roller coaster. So it's been chaotic for him. Oscar, how are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I had a feeling today was going to be a good day for us, and it came through, man.
Thankfully, we're back in the battle. We'll talk about today's game. Benfica to Napoli 0. Big victory. We'll talk about some moments of the game, the 11, some individual performances, our Champions League aspirations, who's optimistic, who's pessimistic. We'll talk about the derby on Friday, of course, the 1-1 draw against our same city rivals. And we'll look ahead briefly to the month of December, which, as you can tell from the title, is decisive. We've got some big games this month. So we'll talk about that. Para a malta que esteja a ver e prefere comentar em português, esteja à vontade. Todos nós percebemos português, por isso podemos abordar os vossos comentários. Por isso esteja à vontade e participem aqui nesta nossa conversa. For those of you who are watching in English, let us know you're there. Share your thoughts, give us your feedback, conspiracy theories, your hatred, whatever you want to call it. We got a good mix of everything, so we won't get defensive, I promise, or at least try not to. But let us know what you're thinking and join the conversation and make this as interactive as possible. We'll start with today, obviously. Benfica 2, Napoli 0. Benfica gets a second Champions League victory in a row after beating Ajax 2-0 as well, away at the Johan Cruyff Arena. We're now on 6 points, and essentially we knew going into the last 3 match days that these were basic finals. Mourinho said all along that 9 points could maybe work, 10 should work. We're still trying to calculate where we're going to fall, what number might be ideal. But in the meantime, all we can do is control what we can control, and that is wins, right? And we got another one today against a difficult opponent, and we'll get into that. An opponent that is current Serie A champion, has won it twice in the last 3 years. So this isn't necessarily a pushover by all means. Starting 11, we started with Trubin. A couple of surprises here. Trubin, at least I think for most. Trubin, Dedic, Tomás Araújo, Otamendi, Dal, Richard Rios, Enzo Barrenechea, Aushnes, Barreiro, Sudakov, Ivanovic at the top. Jose Mourinho did say pre-match that his thought process behind Tomás Araújo was the fact that Højlund was playing up top, physical, quick, and he wanted someone that could kind of keep up with him. And also because he expected Napoli to press high, he wanted someone like Tomás Araújo to be able to play out from the back and have more confidence with his feet. That was the thought process there. And then for Ivanovic, someone who can attack the space in behind the line, be a little bit more physical, whereas Pavlidis is more of a kind of a almost like an attacking midfielder where you can drop into the spots in the midfield and link up play. So two different profile players. These are the games I think we've all talked about that Ivanovic could shine, where he's going to have space, where he's going to be able to get physical. And we'll talk about his performance. But Kenny, I'm going to start with you because, I mean, just you in itself in our group chat was giving me stress, let alone the game in itself. I mean, you were on, you were off. I'm not on the podcast tonight. I can't talk about this team. I'm shut. Like, it was just an absolute shit show, especially after those first two misses, one by Ivanovic, the other one by Aushnes. But I'll start with you on the 11. Were you equally surprised, and does it make sense after hearing Mo's justification?
Yeah, no. So first of all, after Aushnes's miss, I was thoroughly, and I meant it too, like all off board. I was about to turn off the game. Thankfully, they quickly scored right after that, and it grabbed my attention again. But I was on the brink of like going ballistic.
He had resigned from the podcast.
I was signing the paper. But no, yeah, those were definitely two of the surprise, you named them, the two surprises in the lineup. And I think from Mourinho's explanation as to why totally makes sense. And not only did it make sense, it went to plan. It's exactly what happened in the game. So, just really to keep it short, Mourinho absolutely, to me, the best, like this was Mourinho's best game at Benfica so far. This was, to me, as close of a complete game that Benfica played to their capabilities, and Mourinho made the right changes, and they worked out to what he had expected.
All right, Kenny jumped ahead a little bit, but we'll keep. He's excited now that he's back on the roller coaster after jumping off. Oscar, does it make sense in terms of what he was looking for? Do you agree with Kenny in terms of at least the preparation and the thought process going into this game and what he expected versus what he got? Do you think he got it spot on?
I think he did. We talked about this when we talked about Mourinho. I think we all said big games are for Mourinho. Like he'll plan them well. He knows how to execute the plan, but it's the small games that he can't, for some reason, get the team to play to the capabilities they can play. But the big games, the Porto, the Sporting, these Napoli games, we saw it against Chelsea right when he first took over. Like we scored our own goal. That's how we lost to Chelsea. The only game that I thought that we were complete shambles was Newcastle, where we lost 3-0, right? But those big games, I think Mourinho is what his specialty is getting the technical performance right, like get it right. And today, I think it worked to plan. I think Pavlidis to me was the biggest surprise because we needed goals. We didn't just want to have pressure. We needed goals, and Pavlidis is a goal scorer. So, but I think what he thought, his thought process behind Ivanovic playing, worked out. I think he hustled his ass off today. He worked hard defensively. He was always there for an option. I think it worked. The plan worked perfectly, and the goals came along because Benfica kept pressing and creating problems up in the final third.
Yeah, and Kenny had talked about that in our group chat in the sense of right, and I was exchanging conversations with some of the guys on WhatsApp, which was I felt the team seemed a little bit fresher, a little bit more on the same page as it relates to pressing as a unit. I don't know if you guys noticed, but a few nuances I picked up on, at least my observations, were Freddie was playing kind of a hybrid role, right? Typically what we've seen in previous Champions League games or some of the most recent games, which is Pavlidis and Barreiro go, or Pavlidis and Auschwitz go, or against Porto Pavlidis and Sudakov went. And I noticed today, my observation was that you had Barreiro going, you had Ivanovic going, and then you had Auschwitz picking and choosing which moments he was going to go and close inside. And then he had other moments where he was opening out wide and cutting off the pressure or cutting off the passing lanes out wide. He wasn't constantly going. He was more so picking and choosing those moments. And I thought it worked well because, again, we recovered a lot of balls in their defensive third. We had 2 clear-cut opportunities that the game should have been put away within the first 20, 25 minutes that we didn't take advantage of. But did you guys, and I know Kenny, you had touched on it in our WhatsApp, in our group chat, did you guys also sense that like the team seemed more together and more understanding of like when to go and when to stay?
Tactically, 100%.
I agree.
100%. Even Rios too, like picking and choosing the moment. Like it wasn't just a full-on press, like just running around
and then one pass beats you.
Exactly. It was constant back and forth, picking the time, especially in the second half too. I mean, we dropped our lines, but in the second half, we didn't just completely drop our lines. Like we were picking and choosing the right moments to do the press, and it constantly put Napoli into a position where they were making mistakes, and we were getting the ball. They were losing the ball right away, and we were off on a counter or on a quick break, or they were giving up the ball, in Auschwitz's case, like legit pass to him that he completely blew up, just completely screwed it all up. But that is, I mean, tactically, this was to me a Mourinho masterclass, like Oscar said. Like these are the type of games that he tends to step up, and the team stepped up for him because I think Ivanovic was a big risk. Pavlidis is on a scoring hot streak. Putting in Ivanovic, a guy that barely has had any playing time, I think was a big risk. But I mean, it paid off. I mean, the team was just completely in sync.
I can tell you another thing. You'll probably touch on this as well. But I think, I get players are settling down. Rios, I think Enzo played a really great game today. Rios has been phenomenal for the last 2-3 games. Like legit, feels like now we see where the 30 million or 27 million came from. Like we can see quality there. But I think the key is Barreiro. I don't know if you guys noticed, but Barreiro has been the key for our top performances the past 3 games or 2 games. It's been Barreiro. He makes the whole difference in that team. Like when he plays right up in front of those 2 guys. So to me, it's been Barreiro. Like today, Rios got the bend of the match. I would have given it to Barreiro. I think Barreiro was phenomenal.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a motor on him that, which is crazy. He's such a box-to-box guy. He's got the ability to press high. He's got the ability to get back. He's got the ability to get into the box for opportunities. He scored another goal today.
He finishes.
And he's a guy that, I mean, he's been criticized frequently since he arrived. People criticized, why did Benfica go get him? He's not good enough for Benfica. He was criticized when he first started playing. Even on the podcast, we talked about he's a squad player. He's not a starter. Of course, I think if the team is put together well, maybe he's not an out-and-out starter. But like you said, Oscar, I think in the last 3-4 games, he's been a difference maker for the team because we lack the ability to press. We don't have wingers, so we don't have guys that are able to get north to south and create problems. And when you have some frailties there, you need to find other spots where you can make up for it. And I think he's covering up a lot of gaps that maybe we also saw Auschwitz do 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, that he hasn't gotten back to that level now. And now Barreiro is basically our Auschwitz of 2025.
Yeah, I agree.
What I was going to talk about is, I guess, talking on the Barreiro thing. I don't know if you guys heard the Mourinho presser after the match, but since we talked about Rios' second match in a row, man of the match, he had it against Sporting. He had it again today. Again, for those of you who follow and know, I'm a big fan of his. I think he's a fantastic player. I think that he did struggle at first to kind of get it acclimated to the style of play in Europe. new system, new team. There's a lot of elements there. And I feel that in the last 4 to 5 games, we're starting to see a little bit more of the Richard Rios that Palmeiras had. And in Mourinho's press conference after the game, he talked about how some players have grown and evolved since he arrived, right? Dahl had a really good game today, and he's been one player that we've criticized significantly. We had Richard Rios, and what Mourinho said was, the thing with Richard Rios is he likes to kind of float around the field, right? And take certain spaces and potentially create gaps. And what we needed to figure out was, when Richard Rios goes here, the rest of the team needs to do this, right? When he goes there, the rest of the team needs to do that, right? And basically, you know what he's going to give you. He says you can't kind of confine him to a certain area of the field because that's not his style of play. That's not what he gives you. So instead of confining him, let him do what he does best, bring the physicality, bring the pressure, and then let the rest of the team kind of adjust to that and read the moments of the game and figure out, okay, I need to go fill this gap. I need to go do this. I need to go do that. And I just wanted to touch on that a little bit with you guys, because if I'm not mistaken, I think both of you were fairly critical of him. I know we've touched on it briefly just now, right? I think we're seeing the better side of Richard Rios, but are you guys, obviously he still needs to do it more consistently, right? And I think Kenny said that after the game against Sporting, but are you guys starting to see, or starting to believe that, okay, there was a significant investment. He's 25 years old. He's not like he's 30, Colombian international. Maybe we just needed to give him time to figure it out. And we're starting to see that figuring out. And let's also not forget, I think today was his 60th match in the calendar year of 2025, because he came from Brazil and the season was basically more than halfway done. So I think today was his 60th match in the calendar year of 2025. So I'll pass the ball to you, Oscar, first, and then Kenny, feel free to jump in. But do you think we're starting to now see that guy that Benfica saw?
All right. So there's, I will not be like one of those people like, well, this guy cost $27 million and he has a name, so therefore he's good. I don't start my thing with players that come to Benfica like that. I like them to prove themselves at Benfica, and then I'll start liking them, right? So yeah, I criticized Rios, like I criticized Pavlidis when he first started and he wasn't scoring goals, right? And then once Pavlidis started scoring goals, I'm like, okay, crack, he's good. We got the striker that we needed. But I will criticize him until he does something good for Benfica. And Rios was not doing that. Rios took his time to adapt to the system, to Portugal, to Europe, to whatever, right? He took his time. And finally, we started to see a little glimpse of what he can do. In the last 2 games, we saw the Rios that we want to see, especially against good teams, right? Yeah. So if he did this against Casa Pias and stuff like that, we're like, yeah, whatever. But he did it against Sporting, and then now he did it against Napoli, right? And so we're starting to see a lot more of what we expected from Rios because of the name and the money, the tag, the money tag on him, right? So yeah, I'm starting to get a little more convinced. But like I said, we need consistency, and we need we need to see 5, 6, 10 games consecutive with him. Like, all right, this is the guy we needed.
Can you agree?
Yeah,
I think probably the biggest critic.
Well, my biggest thing with him was it's like Oscar was saying is the consistency, because I had seen some glimpses early on. I mean, he had some instances where you could see his style and his skill pop, but the problem was day in, day out, game after game, having that consistency. And look, it's not an easy position to be that bully in the midfield and have that attitude and that fire every time. I mean, we haven't had that on Benfica probably since the last Enzo, or probably the Enzo before that. Especially around
a team that doesn't have that characteristic in them either.
Exactly.
Right? Like I feel like if you're playing in a team that is not full, but has other players with that characteristic where they're going to be bullies and they're going to be aggressive, I feel like it's easier for that to rub off on you versus if you're that enforcer and everyone else around you is soft and tiptoey. I feel like it's harder for you to get in that mindset and continue that mindset.
100%. We've always been, I've said it multiple times, we are a finesse team. We are not a Porto that's got that aggression from the kickoff. But Rios, I mean, Otamendi has always had that in him.
Yes.
Rios, you're starting to see that. I mean, just even with confronting players right on the end line at the end of games, like screaming in their faces or whatever, right? Like it's not an easy position, and to bring that day in and day out is tough. But that's what we need, and that's to me that's the type of player that I expected to see, and I've now seen it a few times. I'm not fully convinced, but I'm happy that I'm starting to see that, and I hope it continues. And look, he's gonna have off games like everyone else. But if we see more of this, the Benfica's midfield is going to be like a very, very good moving forward.
And I think Mo also has a lot to do with what Rios has
Mm-hmm.
done in the last 3 games.
100%.
Because if you can tell that Rios' play is different than when he was like 5 games ago. He's not holding on to the ball as much as he was before. Like when he lost the ball to Casapia, I believe it was, right?
Yep.
The second goal. Like he lost the ball like for stupid, like he had like a brain freeze or whatever it was, right? And you could tell that he's playing more simple. Like he's still physical, gets the ball back and distributes the ball a little quicker. And I think Mo has a lot to do with this because he goes, we need to grow Rios or make him more comfortable, play his game, and holding the ball and playing with his ball on his feet is not his game. And I think he's teaching him that. And if he does do what Mourinho tells him, and he's proven that he's been doing it, it's going to pan out.
Yeah, and he said after the game he still thinks that he can give more. Again, let's not forget he's only 25 years old. He's not old by any means. He's a Colombian international. So I think he has, with a manager like Mourinho, I think he has the ability to grow and develop. And I think we're seeing him kind of reap the benefits of that again in the last 3-4 weeks of improving. Rui Mark's got a comment here. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. Is Oscar convinced that Rios is legit?
He's probably just logged in, but I just answered exactly.
Yeah, he must have. He did just jump in. So he did say, him and Kenny did say that they are liking the Rios of the last 3-4 games. They would like to see more consistency, but they are starting to see why Benfica invested in a player like Richard Rios. But I think, again, like all of us, we don't want to just see it in some of the big games. We want to see it in majority of the games. And again, sometimes it can be difficult for him to show what he's capable of in some of these domestic games against, the Rio Aves away from home, right, where it's very compact. So it's tricky. But I would say probably apart from seeing him put in a man of the match performance, I might say this, speak on behalf of all of us, is even if he doesn't put in a man of the match level performance, what we would like to see is just consistency in the sense of not giving away the ball cheaply in problematic areas of the field, like he did against Casapia, like he did a couple of times early on in his games where he tries to play a ball across the field and he leaves it short and the other team takes it center circle and they're running at our defenders. Again, I might be speaking on behalf of all of us. I don't know if you guys agree or disagree. I think against some of these smaller domestic sides, it's going to be a little bit tougher for him to stand out,
right?
Especially away from home. But I think we're headed in the right direction. I don't know if you guys want to add anything to that.
Yeah, I'll just add, because that you took the words right out of my mouth, because I agree with that. It's hard to stand. Rios is hard to stand out against a team that's just playing defense, and we have the ball in their we're playing half the field the whole time. It's hard to stand out, and that goes for a lot of players. Like Barreiro, it's hard for Barreiro to stand out in those games too, and it's a different style of game. But
look at Ivanovic; he's the perfect example. There's no space in behind. There's no space for him to turn.
Exactly.
He's been a null basically up until today because he doesn't have many opportunities like the game that he had today, where there's going to be space. He can stretch the back line, right?
100%.
So I just wanted to jump in there.
And the only other thing I would add is, let's not and I know they're different players, but like I'm coming off my memory of like Koksu, who to me was a flop, and he was never to me very consistent. He would probably have 3 good games and then he would disappear for 10 of them, right? So like I just want to be able to seek again. Koksu to me was a guy that came same type of hype as, maybe not as much hype, but like the same type of big price, big transfer fee. A stud in the midfield that was supposed to, change our midfield, this and that. And to me, he was a flop, was not consistent. And I just want to, see Rios be more consistent. I don't want to be hey, this was a great game. Like I'm all in again. Like I want to see it more and more and more. Again, I'm very happy with how he's played as of late, and I hope it continues, because I do think if he can really shine, I think it just makes the other players, it makes Enzo, it makes Auschwitz, it makes, like, I look at Auschwitz today. I thought he had, outside of an open netter that he missed, I thought he had a fantastic game, and he's pretty much been a disappointment this
He missed
season.
2.
Yeah.
Two. Yeah.
He missed 2? No, he had 1.
Because the Ivanovich's miss.
Came back to him.
And he put it wide.
Oh, he shot it wide, yeah. But he was at a tough. I'll give him that one. But the
that was like almost right outside the 6, almost on the angle from the 6.
It was. The second one, I think he got caught a little bit nervous, because I feel like Ivanovic was offsides, and I think he wanted to pass it, but he wasn't sure, so he just shot it. He like shanked it left-footed.
Oh, he did.
But I think he was caught in between 2 minds. He shanked it so bad.
Yeah, the ball was bouncing. So I think he tried to put a far post, and he hit it with his chin.
Was he? I didn't even so the pass wasn't there then.
No,
he was offsides.
No,
it
I
looked
thought
like he was offsides.
The pass was there. I think no, he was not.
If you go back and look, I think Ivanovic is ahead of, because there's no defender there anymore, and Ivanovic looks like he's ahead of the ball.
I don't.
So I think that's where.
I'd
have to go back and look at it, because that's what I was trying to figure out. Like, why the hell didn't he just pass it? Because it would have been a tap in, and we can go back and look at it after the fact, or if anyone in the chat wants to confirm it for us. But I can't put it up because UEFA will flag the stream because it's copywritten. But looking at the play again, I felt he was caught in 2 minds. Like, do I pass it or do I shoot it? And I felt like he was also uncertain. Like, fuck, is he offsides? Is he not offside? If I pass it and he's offsides, they're going to shit on me, because why didn't you shoot it? And how did you not notice? So fuck it, I'm going to shoot it. And then when he decided to shoot it, he shanked it left foot. Like, why didn't he just outside of the foot, right foot it?
That's what I mean. I was about to say that. He drops the ball outside of the foot. Right?
Literally.
Put the goalie
it's in. Yeah, he had the whole net to shoot at, and he shot it left footed of all feet. Why?
Yeah.
I don't understand what the hell he was thinking. Rui says, where I'm from, the type of player we call Rios is Vadiu. You never know where he's going to be, but he's everywhere. He is. He's definitely a guy that likes to roam.
No. Roy, we saw the worst possible of Rios against Casapia, which is 3 games ago, right?
Yeah.
And then we saw a really good version against Sporting. Really good version against Napoli. Let's not fucking start throwing forgets already, right? Let's 2 games ago, he had a horrible game against Casapia. So let's
and that's what Mike was saying, right? It's a different style of game. That's where he's got to develop, like, he's got to figure out, because he's going to be on the field. He has to find his place when we are, obviously in possession, playing half the field. He's got to find another way to be dangerous, right? Whether it's, I don't know. I don't know if he has a shot in him. Like, he's got to maybe.
He does. He takes free kicks too.
Yeah, so like he's got to be dangerous in that effort, or whatever. He's got to figure it out, or Mourinho's got to help him figure it out.
There's one thing that I like, and I agree that Coxu did not pin out the way I thought he was going to pin out. But Coxu had last year with Lage when at some portion with Roger Schmidt. Coxu had some really consistent games where in the mid he was our best player in the midfield, right? He was even when Lage came in and then he got some more motivation and all that. Coxu was probably our best midfielder, and he was consistent for a little while. He was scoring goals too. So Rios to me has not gone to what Coxu did for us yet. I know Coxu had a lot more games,
correct,
but Rios has not gone there yet. So like I cannot shit on Coxu and praise Rios, because Rios has 2 goals, one today. That I don't know what the fuck happened there. Like, I think he just flicked it by, I don't know, because it looked like the ball just rolled in like a mile an hour.
It was like it was such a futsal goal, like just a light touch to take it out of the goalie's way. I thought he missed it, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, no, I thought he missed it too, and I'm like, holy shit, what the fuck just happened there?
I thought he mishit it.
Yeah, he kind of hits it down.
Like literally typical like futsal goal. Like, let me just take it out of the goalie's way. I'm not even. Most players in that position put their foot through it, probably smash it off the goalie's face.
It's a South American goal, yeah.
Yeah. So he has like, he's supposed to have more of the goal than what he's shown so far, even opportunities like shooting on net and stuff like that. We haven't seen much of that. Like Coxu was doing a lot of that.
Yeah. And I think the shooting piece
took a while.
It did take a while. That's what I said. Rios might get there, but he hasn't gone there.
Yeah. And I think the shooting piece as you guys know, right, as a player, not at that level, but for someone that shoots from outside the box and has the ability to take free kicks, a lot of that is also confidence, right? Like if you're playing well and you have that confidence, you're more willing to take that shot from a distance. You're more willing to take that one timer versus if you're not at your full potential, you don't feel totally confident, and you're more likely to take a touch and distribute it. I mean, that one timer, the shot that he had against Sporting left footed, I mean, if that had gone in, I mean, he would have taken the netting off the fucking posts. He hit that so clean.
Yeah.
So I think he has a lot of that, potentially has a lot of that in his locker. It'd be interesting to see kind of how he evolves with this level of confidence and continuous performance, and to see where he goes from there. So he says, bro, you've been shitting on him every game. He deserves credit for his consistency. If he keeps this up, he's going to shut a lot of people up. To move on from this, anything else you want to add to that, Oscar?
And by shit, yeah, I've been shitting on him every game because he's been sucking every game. So what am I supposed to praise somebody that sucks? He hasn't like I said at the beginning before Ruiz jumped on. I praise people once they prove themselves. Right, that's when I praise it. So far, he has not proved himself, other than these last 2 games. So I'm just gonna shit on him, like I did on Pavlis until he proved himself.
Fair. To close this game out, I just want to quickly go through some of these comments. Let me just bring up this banner here, but we got some of these comments. We've got Bill was in the chat. We got Marco Manuel, first time here, congratulations. Abraço, Marco, imagino que estejas em Portugal, mas estás à vontade de participar aqui nesta nossa conversa, mesmo que queiras participar em português, todos percebemos, por isso está à vontade, e abraço e obrigado por estares a ver e a participar aqui neste nosso podcast. Milton says he's not convinced of Richard Rios. Our man Ruiz coming in hot. And Pedro Vieira says, hi, guys. It's probably our best effort this season, but I was expecting more for Napoli. Abraço, Pedro. It's kind of like I planned this with Pedro because this was my next item here on my list is, do you guys think that this was the best overall performance under the Mo era? And I know people are saying, oh, we expected more from Napoli. And it's true. Napoli played Sunday against Juventus, if I'm not mistaken. And they lost.
They won. They won 2-1.
They won 2-1. That's what it was. But they played Sunday. So they had a little bit less rest. Benfica played on Friday, obviously. But my counter argument to the person that said it to me was Benfica didn't have a preseason. Benfica has been playing every 3 days for most of the season, right? So like we've been on the other side of that argument more often than not as well. Now, would we expect something different from Napoli if they played Friday versus if they played Sunday? 1,000%. But I think it's also unjust to take away from Benfica for what they did. Again, had they both had the same amount of resting time, again, it's potentially a different story. But nonetheless, Benfica's been on the other side of that argument too. And people were always like, well, everyone else plays every 3 days and this and that and the other thing, right? So it's like, you can't have one argument one way and then twist it the other way and not have the same argument. But going off the back of that, I'll start with you, Kenny. Do you align with that theory of kind of taking away from Benfica because Napoli played Sunday, Benfica played Friday? And do you think this was overall best performance as a team under Mourinho?
Yeah. So I'll start on the last one. So yeah, I 100% think this was Benfica's or Mourinho's best Benfica match of this season. It was the best I've seen them play. I give more credit, and again, I don't watch much of Napoli. I know that they're doing well in the league. They are also traveling to Benfica. Benfica gets the home game. They get more rest, all of that. But I'm going to give more credit because of just visually watching the game, how tactically we sort of shut down Napoli. I mean, they really the only thing they really had was putting in crosses that we just did a good job of clearing it out. And I just think defensively, even we haven't even really touched on it in the second half with the changes. We stopped pressing as much. We kind of fell back, but like we were still picking and choosing the right moments to press, to make those turnovers. And we were forcing Napoli to make turnovers. It wasn't just them giving the ball away. Like we were forcing them to make the turnovers. And I give Mourinho credit for how he set up the game. I I don't know if you want to talk about some of the changes. Again, I still think it's a little puzzling about some of those changes, but again, it ended up working out.
He brought in, I'll let you jump on that, and then Oscar can chime in. So he brought in Pavlidis for Ivanovic in the 76th minute. In the 76th minute, he also brought in Antonio Silva for Sudakov, and he ended up playing with a Tres Centrais, Otamendi, Tomás Araújo, and Antonio Silva, which then allows him to push Dedic and Dahl a little bit further up with the ball, and then without the ball, we basically fall into a back five, sometimes even in a back six. Auschwitz kind of closing in. At that point, Napoli had two strikers in there, right? So I think that was probably Mo's thought process of let's add a little bit more grit and a little bit more size into that box.
Yeah.
But to start, when we went to that back 3 or 5, I think one of you had mentioned it in our group chat. There was 2 or 3 crosses that came in uncontested, right? Like that's one thing you can't have if you're gonna play in that system, right? Where you're gonna have your outside backs pushed up a little bit more, or you're gonna try to play a line of 5. You can't give away free crosses, right? Like your wing backs have to get there and close them down, or make it difficult. There was one that McTominay almost got to on the back post.
That's the one that I chimed in. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's what he did changes wise. And then he brought in Freitas and José Neto in the stoppage time. But what did you want to add to? I know that you had said maybe bringing in a midfielder.
Yeah.
But
so my thing with Antonio Silva came in and they played the three center backs, but Tony went to the left side, and we already know that he's not great with his feet. He'll sometimes fumble around, and now he's also needing to clear balls with his left foot, which he's not good at. And we've seen us give away cheap balls that way for goals. And then, like you just mentioned, again, all they're doing is throwing in crosses. Now we've got another man that we've got we're trying to hold an offsides line or whatever. Like you've got another guy to worry about. We're not really accustomed to that system. And like you said, there were two times I think that there were uncontested headers. Luckily, they didn't even really had any real opportunity. But it just worries me because it just doesn't look cohesive. It doesn't look right. We look a little lost back there. I would have rather seen Mourinho put someone else more in the midfield where someone with better foot skills, a Manu, just beef up the midfield, because that's where we were really doing damage and really causing them to make turnovers. I understand the idea of, the back 5. Now that allows Dedic to go on a counter or go waste time down the line or whatever. But I would have rather seen someone, again, I've just seen multiple times where Tony, unfortunately, is the one that's been suffering the most, but we've got 3 center backs that are all right-footed that, you've got to play someone on that left-hand side, and they're trying to cross the ball or get rid of the ball or dump the ball, and they can't do it. So that's where I kind of raised that concern.
I'll let Oscar chime in before I share my thoughts on the potential midfielder.
Wait, are we talking about Napoli?
Or why, more so Kenny's thought process of why bring in another center back when you can potentially bring in a midfielder? And just for context, on the bench, in terms of midfielders, we had Manu and João Veloso that can play mid, but he's more of an attacking guy. João Rigo can play central, but he's more of an attacking guy. So I'd say Manu's probably the only real credible option there.
No, I think Mourinho, what he did was, because Conte basically changed his style of play. He went 3 center backs as well, and put more.
Well, they started with 3 center backs, and then he took out. I think he changed the tactic at halftime when he brought in.
Yeah, he took out. I know he took out a center back, and then early on,
he took out Spinazzola, came off in the 46th minute. Or Spinazzola went in.
Who the hell is Bukima? Was a center back they took out, and Oliveira. Oliveira is a wing back.
Correct. They started with 3 in the back, which was Buongiorno, Ramani, and Bokema, which was the back 3.
And then Bokema came out.
Lorenzo and Oliveira were up the field. Correct. Oliveira and Bokema came out. So a wing back and a center back.
So he changed his whole style of play.
Correct. He changed correct. It's almost like they went to a 4-4-2 almost, or 4-3-3.
And the reason was, so like Mikey said, I think his idea was to put another striker in because at that point they're losing. And Benfica had to adjust to that, and by putting another center back is the way Mourinho thought would adjust to the two strikers. Instead of having a man on one-on-one up top, you would have two guys for one guy.
The only thing I would add there is Manu being the real only option to fill in that midfield. I think from a foot perspective, technically wise, he's good. If I put myself in Mo's shoes in that position, as much as I hate to see Benfica play with three center backs in that position, I think it makes sense. Why? Because Manu doesn't have the legs underneath him yet, right? We saw him come in. Was it against Sporting, or the game before that, maybe, where you could tell he doesn't have match fitness, and this Napoli game was high intensity, right? Like these guys were going hard. Napoli was pushing hard, and I could see why he wouldn't want to go with a Manu there, because you needed someone that you could count on with legs that was going to give you something. So why not bring in Antonio, try to solidify things in the back and just keep the consistency in the middle with Auschwitz. You got Barrenetxe and Rios, who still had energy in them to make things work. And then you've got Pavlidis that can also drop in to help link in, opposed to Ivanovic, who's more of a go long or wait for long ball. So that I guess I can understand that, but go ahead, Oscar.
Yeah, I think Manu or a midfielder will come in if he was to take out Rios, Barrenetxe, or Barreiro, right? That's the only three players. If one of them came out, Manu or midfield in that spot would make sense, right? Yep. I expected, instead of Antonio Silva, I expected like a Prestiani to come in, or a Sheldru, right? Somebody that can still keep the ball up front and create problems up front, right? I understand Ivanovic coming out for Pavlidis, because that was a gas. He was gassed, and Pavlidis can hold the ball up top.
Yeah,
it could create some chances. But I think the only thing I would change, instead of putting Antonio Silva, I would put a Prestiani, like to hold the ball up front and create something for Pavlidis.
And I'll play devil's advocate there. And Kenny, if you want to add anything, my only concern with putting in the way the game was, where Benfica was content kind of waiting for transitions. My only concern is when you bring in a guy like Sheldrup or Prestiani, they're guys that are going to be more adventurous and take more risk, right? And in that moment where you don't want to concede a goal and give them an inflation of confidence, right? My concern would be, in the event of the team tries to go for a transition and you have a guy that's a Sheldrup or a Prestiani that are more willing to take a risk, potentially lose a ball in transition or lose a ball cheaply, and now you're on your back foot. I mean, how many times have we seen it where we lose the ball cheaply in a transition and then it fucking comes right back down our throat and we concede a stupid goal? So again, I'm just trying to play devil's advocate in terms of what his options were and where his thought process might have been. If the team looked like, I don't know about you guys, but I never felt Benfica was against the ropes today, or felt uncomfortable defending, or we were kind of all over. Like, I never got that sense today, where we've had games where like, fuck, dude, this team is just all over the place right now. Like, we need to figure this out. But today I never got that sense, even when we went to the back five.
No, for that exact reason is why I would not put Antonio Silva for Sudakov. For that exact reason, I never felt like Napoli was all over our throats, right? So we didn't have a reason to go defensively. We didn't have a reason to go full out at the defense. Like, I get it, he wants to hold the result, but Napoli never showed us that threat that basically made us go defensively. So if we put in a guy, the Sudakov is attacking player, right? If we put in a guy, fresh legs, just like Sudakov, like a Prestiani or Sheldrup, right? I think we will be safe, just because we keep the same style of play and we're not going super defensively now, like where we just give the ball to Napoli and let's defend with our lives.
Yep.
Right? By doing this, we're giving the ball to Napoli. That's what we're basically, the idea is, we're giving them the ball. We're just going to hold the result.
Anything you'd add, Kenny?
No, I agree. I agree with that.
All right. In terms of stats, just to close this out, if you get 13 shots, 5 on target versus Napoli's 9 with 2 on target. Napoli had 23 I guess touches or actions in Benfica's box versus 16 for Benfica and Napoli's box. 6 corners for Napoli versus 2 for Benfica. Napoli had a higher pass efficiency of 84 versus 80. Let's see what else. 11 fouls for Benfica, 21 for Napoli, and 58% ball possession for Napoli versus 42 for Benfica.
Look at
Rios
the big
was. What'd you say?
Does your app show big chances missed and scored by each team?
I'm just looking at goal point. What do you got on your side?
I got 5.
I see the expected goals 2.2 for Benfica versus 0.7 for Napoli.
Benfica had 5 big chances to score and missed 4.
So you had the 2 Auschnitz, you had Ivanovic. What were the other ones?
I'm not sure,
The
but
2 goals.
No, big chances and missed 4. So which 4 did we miss?
What other 2? I'm trying to think what the other 2 were. I don't know. I'd have to go back. Maybe someone in the chat remembers. And then Richard Rios was man of the match. He also got 7.0 goal point rating. He had 1 goal, 3 offensive duels, aerial duels, 3 offensive aerial duels. He won 1 of 3, 1 assist. I didn't realize. I forgot he had an assist too, assist and a goal.
That goal by Barreto, though.
It's a nice touch. It's a good play though. It's a really good collective play. Like
that
Ivanovic
ball,
comes out wide,
and that ball
pass,
to that open space.
Yep. The Ivanovic pass to Rios is coming on, and then that cross. Well done. 4 fouls against him. He had 2 clearances. He had 2 touches or actions in Napoli's defensive third. So again, overall good performance. The other ratings we had Barreiro at 6.5, Barrenechea at a 6.8. Ivanovic or Sudakov had the lowest 4.9, followed by Ivanovic with a 5.2. On Napoli's side, highest rating went to Brahmani, the center back, with a 5.7. And Noah Lang was a 4.8. David Nez had a 5.6. Yeah. So overall,
so Mike,
good performance.
on those stats, I was just listening to you read those stats, right? So basically, what I heard there was like very similar stat line of how Benfica has played like in the league, where it's they overpossess the ball 60%, did nothing with it. Multiple chances on net, did nothing with it, or multiple chances on net, 0 expected goals, where Benfica did much less in this game from a stat perspective, but had 2.5% or 2.5 expected goal, right? So like that's one of those stat lines where like we've seen that Benfica with possession does nothing with it, doesn't look dangerous, and here we are in a game where, to me, again, the biggest difference was how we forced Napoli to make mistakes and we took advantage of them, and that to me was and
we created, right? I mean, we've talked about that here for so long, right? Where Benfica keeps the ball side to side, but we don't create clear-cut chances, and we created chances today. Again, some of them were because we pressed and we got the ball back. The second goal is a play that we create, right? It's a good collective play that we created an opportunity. Rui says the Pavlidis chance. I remember the shot that he had.
That Pavlidis at the end and Otamendi, that he fucking tried to do the scissor kick and
then the bike, and then he had the rebound. And the Pavlidis one, it was the one that he had the shot from outside the box. What was the other one? I can't remember that one.
He had one that deflected. One was deflected. One
was outside the box. That was shot outside the box. They
hit the defender's leg,
and then the goalie
for a corner.
Yeah.
Did he have another one after that? Rui says actually 2 Pavlidis chances. I'm curious what the other one was.
Shot, but I don't think it was dangerous. I think it just went to the goal.
So Benfica's so Benfica's now with 6 points. They're 25th place. They're 1 spot out of the playoff. Copenhagen is 24th with 7 points. 2 games left to go. We go to Juventus and we receive Real Madrid in the last match day. Real Madrid, who lost today, versus Manchester City 2-1 at home. Real Madrid's 7th with 12 points, so no concerns for them in terms of where they're going to go next. Just looking at their Champions League fixtures, they've got Monaco at home, and then they've got Benfica away. So they've got another home game where they should be able to lock up the top 8 for them. Benfica again's got Juventus away and then Real Madrid at home. Having won 2 games on the bounce. The chip over the goal is what Rui was saying. The through ball that he went wide and then he tried to chip the goal. Yep. Good shout, Rui. Appreciate that. Now that we've got two wins on the bounce, how are you guys feeling of our chances of going through? And whoever wants to go first can go first.
I think. Well, Juventus to me is a game that we can win. In my honest opinion, it was not the first time we've done it there. It's not like we're going to play in a Bayern Munich stadium. We've won there. I think Juventus just lost at home to Napoli, so it's a big talent right there. And we just beat Napoli with what I thought was ease, right? So ease meaning we played really good, but I thought it was not as I figured it would be a very 50-50 game if Napoli might be all over us. That's what I thought going into this game, but I thought we were going to have a good performance. But I think Juventus is a very beatable team. I do not want to leave the Real Madrid game as a must-win. If we leave Real Madrid as a must-win, we're fucked.
Agree with that. Kenny, what do you think? And let's not forget, so Juventus won again today against Paphos at home 2-0. Juventus plays Benfica at home, and then they play Monaco away in the final match day. And let's also not forget that Benfica Juventus or Juventus Benfica is January 21st. So well into the month of January, where transfer window could also play a part. Injuries or players coming back from injury, especially for Benfica, Manu should be in a better position by that time. Kenny, what do you add to that?
I don't know, man.
And hold on before you jump into that.
Yeah.
Juventus plays Napoli at home for the Serie A, the game after Benfica goes there for the Champions League. So could be another mental aspect to it, right? Of big Serie A game at home. But I mean, I feel like we see this often where teams have a big game either before or have a big game after, and there's a potential impact of rotation or changing players around. But again, just wanted to call out that nuance. But carry on, Kenny.
I think I agree with Oscar. I think Juventus is a winnable game. I pretty much think it comes down to that. I think if we have an opportunity to beat Juventus, I think we'll get to 9 points. Will 9 points be enough? That's where I stand with it. And if we can't pull off a win against Juventus, then I think you can forget about it.
And another thing, you guys, look at the teams with 7 points right above us, and look who they play next. Who the last 2 games are, because you have Copenhagen. They play Napoli. They play Napoli, and
Barcelona.
If they lose to Napoli or they beat Napoli, Napoli's screwed, because after that they have, I believe, Liverpool.
Napoli? I got it up here. Napoli will have
Chelsea.
So
Chelsea.
Napoli's got Copenhagen and then Chelsea at home.
Correct. So they need to win that game, and then Copenhagen have to after Napoli, I believe they play
Barcelona.
So those are teams that we can gain points on if we get a result against Juventus. Right there, it'll be very telling if we get a result against Juventus, and those teams obviously expected to lose. If they lose, we should be in good shape.
And Karabakh, who has 7 points, should only have 4 points because they shouldn't have fucking beat us. But they play Eintracht Frankfurt in the next match day, and then they play Liverpool away in the final match day. And they lost today at home against Ajax 4-2. Yep. So
yeah, look, it's not impossible. I'm not saying it's impossible. I mean, you guys brought them up last week, right? It's like my Cowboys. It's not impossible, but it's also very. I mean,
they make it harder on themselves.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, if we had beaten Karabakh, I mean, we wouldn't even be having this conversation.
Yeah, we'd have 9 points with 2 games remaining, which would be in a much better position. Agreed.
So, We did
So
it
do you
to ourselves.
think, with that said, Kenny, I'll start with you. Do you think we get through?
I'm gonna stick to what I said. I think probably 2 or 3 weeks ago, and say no, we do not
No.
get through.
Okay. I think, and I'd have to go back. I had a post-it note here, and I don't know what the hell I did with it, but I think your stats or your predictions had Benfica finishing with like 7 points, if I'm not mistaken.
I think I had 7 as well. Yeah.
And Oscar wasn't on that podcast.
He
I think it
wasn't
was
on,
just
no.
me, you, and Bill. Bill. Oscar, do you think we get through?
Yeah, I think so. I think we get a result against Juventus, and I actually think we tie Real Madrid at home.
I think we get at least a point against Real Madrid at home. I think
Real Madrid is in crisis right now too. It's not like they're balling. I know they have the players, but they're fighting each other. So it all depends on what happens with Real Madrid and if Xavi Alonso, if he leaves or not. Real Madrid is not doing too good right now. But we do.
But don't you always say it's Real Madrid when it comes to Champions League? Like
it is, but look, today they just got smashed by Man City too. You know what I mean? Like
it's Man City though. I mean,
yeah, and they did. I saw today that they said Xabi wasn't going to get sacked, at least yet. Again, question mark is, will he be there come the end of June or end of January when we play them? So again, there's a lot of nuances here. I agree with Oscar. I think Real Madrid will be locked into the next round by the time we play them. I think at home, final game, and the fact that Benfica doesn't play Real Madrid very often, let alone at home, that stadium is going to be jam-packed, and I think that could be a motivating factor. I agree with Oscar. I think we do get through potentially with 10 points. If we could get through with 12 points, that would be incredible given the start to this Champions League campaign that we had.
What a day for Mourinho if that happens.
Imagine that.
That would be we're talking about masterclass today. Let's see.
We'd see vintage Mourinho running across the field and fist pumping in the air to the fans like he did at the Nou Camp. Was it with Chelsea when he parked the bus? Basically had 11 players in the box and they ended up getting through or it was with Chelsea against Barcelona, if I'm not mistaken. All right, so Kenny doesn't think we get through. I think we do. Oscar thinks we do. Those of you in the chat, let us know what you think. Rui says, when's Luke Bacchio coming back? If I'm not mistaken, I had seen like March, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
He's still up for the season. He's not gonna, even if he does come back, what is he gonna do? Recover,
we got Furioso BFB says, yes, Juve and Real historically are our putas. We do have a decent history against Juve, at least recent history. Real Madrid. When was the last time we played Real Madrid in a competitive game? Do you guys remember?
I remember the friendly that we beat them 5-3 or 5-2.
I don't know.
Hold on, I can bring it up here. Let's see. Head to head. The last one was 5-2.
Yeah,
and that was a friendly, in 2012. We haven't played them.
Enzo Perez scored like 2 goals.
Yeah.
So what, you have to go back to the 60s or something?
Was that no Zebu Cup game?
Yeah.
Yeah. Javi Garcia scored, Axel Witsel, Enzo, Carlos Martins, and Enzo.
Yeah.
And Jose Callejon scored.
A goal Lasso.
Didn't you go to that game?
No. I went to a different game. Me and Kenny went to the AC Milan and
AC Milan, Ronaldinho. Yeah.
Oh, that's the one that you went. Let's see who else we got. Peter says the team keeps improving. They have a chance of getting through. Agreed. Rui says, crap, we need a winger in the transfer window. We do. 1, maybe 2. And Furioso said we stuffed them 5-0 back in the day. Yeah, I mean that was way back in the day. Not recent history. Yeah, that doesn't do much for us.
Black
these days.
Black and white.
Yeah. All right, we went a little bit long on that one, but it was good conversation. Just quickly touch on, I guess we can wrap this all into one, which is Benfica tied 1-1 against Sporting at last Friday. We currently are 8 points back from Porto, who's in first place, and then we are 5 back from Sporting. Still a lot of Campeonato to play. Benfica plays away to Moreirense next. We go to Ferenc for the Taça. We play home to Famalicão. and we go to Braga. And just for context, so Moreirense is 7th, Braga is 5th, and Famalicão is 6th. So we've got 3 league games coming up against teams in the top 7, which won't be easy, naturally. No. I guess I'll wrap this into one and not necessarily talk specifically about the Sporting game, but in terms of domestic possibilities and where we stand, how do you guys feel of where we're at? Obviously, we'd want to be closer. Obviously, we wouldn't want to be 8 points, but do you fall into the theory of what some people are saying of Campeonato is over, we're out of it, and it's only December, or do you think there's still a lot to be played?
I was one of the ones last podcast that said if a tie, like, you know, when Bill said this awesome fact that you know, a tie is better than a loss. I said, yeah, a tie.
I think he's watching too. I think I just saw him jump on.
Yeah, but 8 points to Porto is a big difference in Portugal. Porto is not a team that loses 8 points in a half of a season. Like, they lost it once, probably in a decade, or whatever it is, but like, that doesn't really happen. So 8 points is massive. We do play Porto. Sporting does play Porto. That right there alone is 6 points, right? Then eventually Porto will have hit a slope where they have some bad results. So everything is possible, but Benfica will probably still have some bad results. So everything is up in the air, but 8 points is a lot of points to grab.
Kenny, do you agree?
I agree. It's a lot in this league, but we've seen. I mean, yes, we've seen champions crowned invincible, right? We've seen, you know, Porto's done it, but it's rare that, you know, they're going to go invincible, or they're not going to lose a game. Typically, you're going to see the winner lose 2 or 3 matches. So it's a 3-game swing. We have 1 head-to-head with them. So if we do our part, they just got to lose 2 matches, or you know, lose points in two other matches. So It's not impossible. It may look like a lot, but there's a lot of games to go. We know they're going to slip at some point to a smaller team, so it's definitely possible. My concern more, it's not what Porto's going to do. Is Benfica going to consistently play like this, or are they going to revert back to what we've seen them kind of, you know, doing in the first half of the season? So we'll see what happens. I think this, like you said, to begin this part here, this stretch of games to finish off December, we can't slip. That's period right there. We cannot slip in any of these games, and it's a tough stretch. But you're already at 8 points from first place. If you slip again, yeah, that's when you can kiss it goodbye. But we got to do our part, and we got to finish December strong. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, and Pedro says, question Mo needs to answer is why they have such trouble with teams that park the bus. And again, this isn't a Mo issue. This is previous to Mo. I think apart from struggling to break down teams that park the bus, I think more so in those games, it's not just the struggle of breaking them down, it's the lack of efficiency, right? Like, because I think we create chances against those teams, not a lot, but we do. In the ones that we get, we don't take, right? And against, I mean, we've said this here many times, the Portuguese league is really won on those other games, not the games between the big 3 teams, right? It's the games that you lose points against the Casapias at home, the Santa Claras at home, right, that you can't drop. And I think that's the big impact. And looking at Porto's schedule for December, they've got domestically, they play Malmo at home this week for the Europa League. They've got Estrela da Amadora away, or at home for the Campeonato, and Estrela is currently 13th. And then they've got Alverca away and AVS at home, and Alverca is 9th and AVS is last. Right. So while we've got 3 games against top 7, they've got 3 games against the bottom 6. So to close out the year. So not easy. And the fact that they are out of the Taça da Liga, right? So that's 2 less games at the start of January, potentially, which is the semifinal and the final if they were to win, right? So that's 2 less games that they have on their radar, on their schedule as well. So that has an impact also. Furioso says we got no room for error now. Huge pressure. Agreed. We can't drop points the rest of the year because it's more than likely that Porto won't drop points. And if we go into the new year down double digits, then it's a wrap. Like there's ironically, Benfica is the only team that's taken points from Porto this season domestically. The tie is the 2 points that they're missing to have 39 points out of 13 games. Which is interesting. I didn't realize it until I just looked at it.
Yep.
Furioso says, true, I'm kind of glad Luca Bacchio's out. I don't rate him. He has no end product. This is an interesting take. What do you guys think of this one? I think the end product thing is definitely true, or at least from what we've seen. But I also feel like we've not seen a good enough sample size of him. But curious.
I think he could be a difference maker. I mean, just if we're gonna give Rios room to develop, I think Luca Bacchio deserves this. I mean, when he came in, I mean, one-on-one, he's the best player we have one-on-one. And going down the line, I mean, he's the closest thing to like a Di Maria we've seen in a long time. And I mean, there's been games where he's the only one that's created chances. Yeah. So I think it was a big loss considering we don't have many options. Again, his pace, his one-on-ones, like taking players one-on-one, I think could be a very big difference maker. I mean, he can't finish, but that goes for a lot of players on this team. So
he says he's a great runner, gets there, but can't hit a barn door. Oscar, do you agree? Before I play devil's advocate,
no, I think we need players like him. Like when we need to change up the game, he's the only one that can take a player on and kind of offer something else that Benfica can't with anybody else, right? So, but he does need to work on his finishing, and that could come with time. That could come with the confidence, and once the team starts playing well, maybe everything starts flowing, and he might hit his spot there. But yeah, Di Maria. You compare him to Di Maria, but Di Maria had goal in him. Di Maria had a lot like crucial moments in him, and this guy does not. He hasn't shown it yet. He reminds me of like a Sabri, like back in the day. Fucking guy could take players on and do everything else, but couldn't finish. Couldn't do anything with the ball. Put the ball.
I wouldn't even go as far as Sabri. I wouldn't go as far as Sabri. I would say, and I know you don't want to say this name, but you know who I'm going to say.
Don't say Rafa. Rafa had like 27 goals.
He did, but what I'm saying is in the same sense of because Rafa found his finishing at times and he went on streaks. Luca Bacchio is similar in the sense of he creates a lot of stuff by himself. But then when it comes to the final decision, he hasn't shown us, at least yet, that he can make the right decision at least 33% of the time. I mean, he's had some terrible misses. But then again, my question to you guys is, do you guys feel like our analysis of Luca Bacchio in terms of what he's able to give us is a bit influenced by the fact that we don't have another player on the roster that's similar to him, right? Whereas if you have another winger that could give us something, right? Like let's say you have a Rafa and a Luca Bacchio, or you have Sheldrup who's capable of doing more and a Prestiani that's capable of doing, right? So you have someone else to compare it to. Now you're like, yeah, he's just not at that. And again, I'm just playing devil's advocate. I'm not saying that this is my opinion, but do you think because of the lack of options like him that we're more inclined to be like, fuck yeah, he can give us something because no one else does what the hell he does.
Yeah, right now. But I think we do have players like Broom, I think, is a player that can give us what he does.
Fair, but he's not able to show us that, so you don't have a comparison, unfortunately. But that's a good comparison. I think he's very similar.
Yeah, he showed it to us, but he showed it with a finish because Bruno actually could finish or score some crucial goals for us last year.
I can agree with that. Kenny, do you agree?
No, I agree. I like Luca Bacchio. I like what I saw from him. It's hard to have a lot of guys with that type of pace on the field. And when he's the one, you tend to want to gravitate toward him and be like, yeah, we need that on the field. But I liked what I saw from him. Yeah, he couldn't finish, but like we were going through also as a team, we were not in form.
Tough spot.
And he was a new guy on the team. He was trying to do maybe a little bit more, trying to, spark it where, if he had passed a couple of those, maybe, they turn into assists. It starts like, I think he's a pretty good player. And I think he could, he's probably not going to be crucial at the end of this season, but I think he could be crucial, moving forward into the next season.
Fair. I was just going to pull up his stats. So last season, he had 38 goals for Sevilla in the league. 38 games for Sevilla in the league. He had
I was gonna
11
say
goals
30.
and 2 assists. No, he had
11
11 goals,
goals,
2
2 assists.
assists. Yep, last year
For
for
a winger.
Sevilla. Yeah, and he played 2 games in the league this season for them before coming to us. He had 1 goal in 2 games. In the cup, he didn't have any goals. And then Champions League for Sevilla, he didn't have any goals either. So, I mean, he's got goal in him. 11 goals and 2 assists in 38 games isn't, you're not a world beater. But again, like I don't think
in the Portuguese league could turn into more.
Correct. 11 goals and 2 assists in the Spanish league could translate a little bit better into more goals and opportunities. But again, I think, like you guys said, and some of the people here in the comments said it, which was, Pedro said he'll do better once the rest of the team gets consistency. We still don't play as a team. Saw an improvement in the last 2 games. I agree. It's easy. It's easy for everyone to kind of play above themselves when the rest of the team is doing well, right? Because you're confident. The rest of everyone around you is confident. Everything's going well. You get those bounces, you get those moments, right? And it's flowing versus, what comes to mind is that the first game he came in, he set the world on fire. Like I think he got 2 assists or something. He unlocked the game for us. I can't remember who it was against. And then the Newcastle game, for example, he was really our only threat. Right, he had that shot off the post / crossbar from an angle, and then he had the play that he created himself where he could have just passed it across, maybe to Pavlidis. I can't remember who it was, and he ended up taking a shot, and the keeper saved it. But yeah, I feel like he's one of those guys that's a high and a low. Like he could have games where he has no influence and no impact, and then he's gonna have other games where he's just gonna have the opportunity to go at the defender and just create absolute havoc for the opposing defenders. But unfortunately, we're going to be without him probably till March, and who knows if March even means match fitness.
Is he on loan?
We bought him.
So okay, he's our player. All right, so to say
Enzo's on loan with the requirement to buy. Sudakov is on loan with the requirement to buy. And I think those are the only 2.
So we have to buy these guys.
Correct. So as far as what I've heard and seen is the 2 of them are loan with the obligation to buy. There's got to be some sort of trigger, like 5 games or X amount of minutes. It has to be something that's clearly going to be attainable, where Benfica, similar to what we did with Gonçalo Ramos, similar to what we did with Florentino to Burnley. He's also, if I'm not mistaken, a loan with the requirement to buy. Kokshu, if I'm not mistaken, is a loan with the requirement to buy. I feel like a lot of teams are now doing that to kind of throw a curveball at financial fair play and trying to alleviate some of the numbers hitting books during certain calendar years. So, yeah, as far as I know, those are the 2 that are requirement to buy, Sudakov and Enzo. Do you have concerns with that?
No. I'm just saying because obviously he just got hurt. So like if it was a loan, we'd ship him back and call it a day.
Yeah.
But now we have to buy. So we're gonna buy somebody that just broke his ankle.
Yeah, I know. Let's see what do we got here before we close out. Revolving door of incoming outgoing has to stop. This has been the biggest problem last 2 seasons. That and changing coaches all the time. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think we've all talked about that here in terms of Benfica not being able to maintain coaches. I think the average, if I'm not mistaken, in the last like 20 years or something, the average of a coach at Benfica is like less than 2 years.
Yeah, you did this exercise. Yeah,
or a year and a half or something like that. And then players, again, we can't keep changing and swapping the core of our team and then expect the team to hit the ground running at the beginning of every season. Like it's not going to work. Furioso says his injury problem in terms of Luka Bacchio. Pedro says Sporting has had the same core of players for a while. Exactly. Right. You got to at least maintain some sort of the core to keep that fluidity. And Furioso says Sudakov is quality. We were pretty efficient today, an hour and 15. I think we covered a lot. We had a lot of comments, a lot of new names in here, which is great. I'll start with you, Kenny. Any final thoughts in terms of, did we miss anything? Is there anything that you wanted to touch on that we missed?
No. I Yeah, I think I mean, we already talked about it, but I think this next stretch of games is really, really important. I am back on the train again. I saw it come by. I jumped back on, but I got my backpack on my back. So if I got to
He's
jump,
not sitting down.
no. I don't have a seat.
No, he's standing room only. He wants to be ready.
Dude, I'll jump right off again, depending on what happens here. So we'll see.
Oscar, final
No,
thoughts?
I think we've seen some good signs last few games. Like I said, we've shown them against good teams, good quality teams. We need consistency on the league against league teams like the ones we're playing now, which is like the top 7 of our league. Is where we struggle. Is like those smaller teams that can cause problems, and so we need the commitment from these players from playing against Napoli the same way they'll play against Famalicão, right? So we need that consistency from the team, and if we do that, we should be in good. We should have a good rest of the season.
All right,
Mike, do you
just
think?
quickly to close up? Go ahead.
Mike, just one last thing. So on that, like, do you think Moo's capable of finding a different way to play against league opponents with the low block? Like, I think that's what it comes down to. Like, we have to find a different style of play, or we're just going to keep ramming our head against the door over and over and over again.
I mean, if there's a coach that's capable of figuring it out, it's him. I mean, he's got shit tons of experience.
But that's,
I would.
what I was going to say, that's his style of play, though. His style of play is defensive and counterattack. So when he plays a team that he has to be the opposite, is where we struggle.
But you would think, because he's very organized and meticulous in terms of like how he likes to set his teams up more recently, of let's stay compact, let's stay organized, and then we'll do X, Y, and Z. You would think that he would be able to flip that and do it the other way around, because he knows how they're doing it. But it's again,
decades. But
he's been beat so many times, right? Playing that style, that you would think like, oh, that really worked against my low block style. Why don't I try to use that when I'm playing now against these type of teams? Like, you would think like he could figure it out, but I don't know. You would
hope so. And I think against Nacional, I thought we played well, right? A team that plays a low block. Again, we missed some opportunities. We conceded a stupid goal, but I felt like when we actually went for it, like the team was flying, right? And we pulled off the 2 goals late. So is this team capable of creating chances against teams in a low block? I think yes. Do we have enough tools in the shed to be able to do it? Yes. I think it's more of a mentality, and also at what point in the game does the team actually flip the switch and really go for it, opposed to playing a little bit more conservative and kind of feeling it out, versus do we just come out guns blazing and just lay it all on them, get that goal, and then we can force them out, and then we can play our game, right? Opposed to I feel like a lot of times it's very, and it also, because in part, I feel like the team was also struggling for confidence, whereas like, all right, let's go into it, let's feel it out, see what they're doing, right? And the defensive team is comfortable because everything's in front of them, right? Benfica side to side, cross, clearance, okay, side to side, right? And it gets difficult, opposed to like, now that we've got some confidence and some momentum, why don't we go for it, try to get that goal? And now it's like, okay, cool, you guys want to sit there, go ahead, sit, right? We're going to sit back, you come to us, and then we're going to hit you on the counter, which we would prefer to do. And that eliminates the fucking, we're going to park the bus in our 18-yard box and you try to figure us out, right? And I feel like everyone does that to us right now. Not just now, but with Laj, with Schmidt, with JJ prior to that. But I don't know if you agree, disagree, or Oscar, if you wanted to add anything to that.
No, it's true. It's true. But I think when we press high, no matter the team we play, if we press high, we can make them commit mistakes. I think that's our answer to play against these small teams. Just press high, and they'll commit mistakes, and then we'll down the throats.
Correct. Not be as correct. We've got to come out basically. Fuck it. You guys want to sit back there? We're going to come in, right? Correct. We're going to play in your midfield, and we're going to figure it out.
Just like we did against Napoli today. Like at first, I was taking notes. Like we had chances. We are down their throats. Like making them commit mistakes right away.
Yep.
And I think that's the mentality that we have to go into every single game. Is like, let's go after them, and then we can get a goal really quick.
It's true.
Yeah.
I mean, I've come here multiple times, said another game where we wasted 45 minutes side to side, 65% possession, nothing, no chances, nothing, right? And then all of a sudden, now you're in the second half, you put a little bit of pressure. Defensively, we break down, boom. Now we're playing from behind, then we turn the intensity up, then we start playing better. So yeah, maybe again, you got to pick your spots, but like if you're right, Mike. If we come out guns blazing, we get that early goal, it changes the whole dynamic of the game.
100%. Yeah.
There's no time wasting. There's not like the whole game opens up.
And the pressure now changes to the other side of the field, right? Because Benfica's now like, cool, you guys want to hang out? Hang out. We're up, right?
Yeah.
Open yourselves up.
Yeah.
I agree.
So we'll see. It's definitely something to keep a lookout for. And different players too are better suited for that for that style of game. We'll see. I some of these guys have to develop, and some of them have to step up. It can't be the same core over and over again. Like some of these guys that are on the bench have to start turning it up as well. So,
just to finish off, in the last 10 games, Benfica's got 7 wins, 2 draws, and 1 loss. The losses against Leverkusen, draw against Sporting, and draw against Casa Pia. So I would say, in a form perspective, I feel like we're starting to come around. In our last 5, we've got 4 wins and 1 draw, which is the Sporting game. Beat Napoli, beat Nacional, beat Ajax, and beat Atletico for the Taça. So I feel like we're coming into form. In terms of Moreirense, they've won 1 of their last 5. They just tied Estoril 3-3. They tied Famalicão. They lost to Braga. They beat Aroca, and they lost 2-1 to Porto. If you go back, their last 10, 4, 6, 8, 10, they've got 3 wins in their last 10, 5 losses, and 2 draws. So in terms of form, they're not doing very well, despite them being 7th. In their last 5, they've got 5 points, 9 goals scored, 9 goals conceded.
We're home or away?
We're away. At home, they are the 4th best team at home in the league, with 13 points from 6. So that's where they've done most of their damage to get them to 7th place, because away from home, they're pretty mid-table. But again, I think they started the season well, and I feel like they've started to kind of lose some momentum in recent games, and hopefully Benfica can take advantage of that. They've got 20 points, 21 goals scored, 20 conceded. So hopefully we can keep riding this wave. I'll just quickly get your quick predictions, and then we can close this out. Kenny, what do you think we get here? And I guess I'll just give you some context. The last matches we've had against them, we tied them 1-1, tied 0-0, tied 1-1, won 2-1, and tied 1-1. So typically in recent history, a tough place to go.
Yeah, damn, that is tough. I'll say that we'll stay in form, and go 2-1 or 1-2. Benfica wins.
Yeah, I think we're in good momentum right now. I feel like it might be like a 1-3.
All right. I'm gonna go. I think we'll be organized defensively as long as we don't make a stupid mistake. I'm gonna ride the. I know. I'm gonna ride the clean sheet wave, and go with a 0-2. But I do think it'll be a tricky match, as again history tells us that that's the case. All right. Let me just close out with some of these comments here. Let's see, what did I miss? Furioso says, how do you join the future shows? We typically have a link that we can share. Maybe if you're here next episode, we can share the link and you can jump in and share your thoughts. But this is Boa Noite, guys. Great show. Carrega Benfica. Furioso says, need wing play with low block. Wingers are injured. And Manny Vitorino says, great show. Wishing you all Merry Christmas from Boca Raton, Florida. Viva Benfica. That's close to you,
Thanks,
Oscar,
guys.
no?
Yeah.
How far is that from you?
20 minutes from me.
Oh, there you go. Oscar's not too far from you. So if you see him, Manny Vitorino, maybe you've seen him somewhere, and you guys can grab a beer together. But thanks for tuning in. Those of you who,
you guys,
You as well. Those of you who are tuning in or listening after the fact, don't forget to follow, like, share, subscribe on all the various platforms. It doesn't cost you anything, and it helps us just get a little bit more reach on social media platforms. Yeah, an hour and 25 minutes, more or less. We ended up taking a little bit more time, but I think we covered a lot. 2 wins from the last 2 in the Champions League. We head into the Portuguese League against Moreirense to finish off a tough, what we expect to be a tough month of December. We'll be back next week, hopefully with another W in Moreira de Cónegos. Gentlemen, as always, it is a pleasure. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in, and have a good evening. Viva o Sport Lisboa e Benfica.
Carrega Benfica.
Good night, guys. Be with you.